Hello everybody, I'm back from my holiday. Of course, I've been playing some New World and it's been so much fun to try out a new build. And this one is different. I don't know what to say about it. Hammer and Fire Staff. The idea behind this build is to use the big stun from Shockwave to set up and incinerate on the Fire Staff. Of course, Shockwave also has a rend attached to it if you do have the Sundering Shockwave on the Hammer, which I do have on this build. And needless to say, this build has actually been really successful and a lot of fun. Look at the burst on this thing. If you get behind anybody who's squishy and you hit them with that stun, they are almost guaranteed to die to incinerate. And I've been back at streaming again, and I did all of these fights on stream. And I'll be honest, it was a lot of fun today. This was a really cool build. So let's get into it. There you can see another big shockwave off the hammer into the incinerate, and then I just chuck down the fireball to finish that guy off, and then a little bit of a skip forward here as my team zergs it up. But I did want to include this clip because there are some pretty nice smacks. And here you can see I find myself kind of stuck in a corner. I go for the hammer stun from Shockwave into the incinerate, and it just flat out kills that guy. I think that was like 8.5k damage or something like that with the incinerate double crit. He goes down instantly, and then I just keep applying pressure with my fire staff and hammer stuns here. And something that I've learned about this build is you have to be a little patient when you go for that combo. But this is a great opportunity. The gravity well is down. The hammer stun into the incinerate. Two players go down, and this mage just managing to escape with a tiny bit of hit points left, and the enemy healer ends up healing him up. And let's have a quick shout out for this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN. You can browse the internet anywhere safely and unrestricted while hiding your IP address from potential threats. It also works on all of your devices, and if you use the exclusive link down below, you can get up to 3 months free of ExpressVPN. Now, right back into the gameplay. There's a few enemies at the front here, but just one hatchet player kind of jumps on top of me. I do my best to put some damage into him, landing some nice attacks, but he ends up getting me with this stab there as he has grit up during that heavy attack. And just like that, a lot of players end up converging on me, but this is exactly what I want. I go for that big stun on the hammer, and there's the incinerate. I actually get body blocked by everybody, so I just dump the fireball on the ground. And look at this, 5 players at 25% or less HP. They all scatter and run away, and I managed to get a kill on one of them. Man, this build has some crazy AoE burst damage. And then moving on to the next clip here, hanging out inside the enemy outpost. I managed to catch this guy with a stun into the shockwave stun. I actually like leading with the other hammer stuns so that if I miss the initial stun, then I don't just end up wasting the shockwave. And I jump onto the healer after killing him. I managed to hit him with the incinerate, and he just does kind of some weird movement, then goes down the side, and there's a heavy attack into the fireball and the light attack while I'm standing in the runes of Helios. And yeah, this build has excellent burst. It can do some pretty good range damage, but definitely I expect to hit hard with Incinerate over anything else. And then I sneak up behind these guys. A bunch of players converging on me there. I get a huge Incinerate blast. I think I hit 5 people with it, and then the fireball ends up getting the finishing blow on one of those guys, and I try to put the damage into this guy here, but they're right on my tail, and here I'm just trying to use the hammer stuns defensively. Again, I get caught by the hard stun from Sword and Shield. Grit's not going to prevent me from getting hit by that, so I do end up saving the stun hammer move, but I am pushed back behind this terrain, and just a single player decides to follow me around the corner, and he goes to shoot some arrows. I quickly switch to the fire staff, land a nasty fireball crit, and there's the incinerate. I thought he would turn and jump on me with the spear. Really good read, and I end up getting the kill on him there. And then I decide to re-engage with this big group of players. Go for a burnout just kind of through the 2 at the front and see who I can pull to the corner. I lead again with that first hammer stun, but then I get hit by the hard stun from Sword and Shield again, and I'm forced to just use the shockwave defensively. And there's a nice connection again with the clear out from the hammer that does give me a little bit of haste, so that's going to allow me to break a bit of distance here, and of course burnout to get me into a little bit more safety too. But at this point, I'm in a really nasty spot. I've got a lot of players on me, and I'm not going to be able to make it to the doorway without getting fried. But yeah, nice couple bursts in that fight there. Moving on to the next clip, again, just hanging out at the enemy outpost, and this guy is right on my tail, hitting me with the sword and shield moves. I go into the outpost, and I manage to get a nice sundering shockwave there, and then into the fireball that would have killed this player, but his hatchet passive saving him from death. And I just retreat while I have a chance here, and you can see this build does something interesting by stunning everybody and putting so much damage and the burn into them. Players tend to back off of me when I use that big AoE combo, so it kind of buys you a bit of a defensive utility in a way because they aren't chasing me super hard. And I did manage to connect the fireball to finish off that hatchet player there as well. And then I just throw a few fireballs at these guys, seeing if I can lure someone up to the top. This guy comes up to the top. I hit him with a nasty succession of stuns, and he ends up using Berserk, I think, in the middle of that stun, so he breaks out of it, and I'm unable to finish the combo, but he's very squishy. I definitely would have killed him with it. And there's just a fireball heavy attack to finish him off. And then I come back inside of the outpost here, and these two are waiting for me. One jumps down from the top. I go into my first hammer stun to start it, just because I have grid up while I use that, and I want to try to get that sundering shockwave, and I get a great connection. There's the incinerate, huge damage on both players, and then I go for the burnout through, and I finish off one of the players, almost finishing this other guy. His hit points are super low, but he just manages to get the heal in time. I'm throwing the fireballs at the ground as well, and again, he's got like 1 hit point left, and he just manages to hang on. I go for the burnout back through the doorway to get back on top of him. He goes for a good kite there, a little early on my stun with the hammer, and there's the shockwave, and so unfortunate that I'm unable to kill him there. I think he had the Defiance stance up, and the big mistake I think I made is I threw the fireball at the tanky player instead of turning around and hitting that very low hit point mage with the fireball. That would have helped a lot in that situation, but either way, moving on to the next clip, I start working on the first player there, manage to get some decent damage, and then catch him with the shockwave just as he enters the group, and I get the incinerate, bring him down. Another really nice thing about incinerate on this build is that it heals you for 20% of the damage done. Normally, I don't think that would be such a huge deal, but because we're jumping into a group of players, that little bit of additional healing definitely helps. And then I jump down the side, and I've got 2 players left. There's a great shockwave into the incinerate, and this guy goes for the spear stun. We're able to go for the burnout, just hit right through him and finish him off with the poke from the fire staff. And then I'm left to fight this enemy healer. This build has some weaknesses. I think that its biggest weakness is a bunch of ranged opponents, and then the next thing would be something like a healer like this that we have to be very close to and can use the Void Gauntlet to kind of keep us at a distance. And unless I can land that clean one-shot combo, he's just going to heal right back up to full health. Not to mention the healer can make the fight very frustrating if you're trying to fight multiple opponents. Even with this big AoE combo, they just heal everybody up so quickly. And I quickly switch to target the enemy bow and spear player again. He's going to be putting out a lot more damage than the healer. Anyway, I will let you guys enjoy the last bit of this fight as I say goodbye. I hope that you guys enjoyed this build. I'm going to be playing it a little bit more over these next few days, and hopefully a build video for you guys really soon. I'm streaming on Twitch again, so check me out there if you want to catch that live gameplay. Of course, give me a follow on Twitter if you want to keep up to date with me. You can check out my website, pvpnewworld.com, written guides to all of my builds and just information on the game as well. And if you have an awesome clip that you want to see in a New World Top 5 fights, you can send that to Kristofer at pvpnewworld.com. One last shout out to the show sponsor, ExpressVPN. You can get up to 3 months free with the exclusive offer down in the link below. And finally, a massive thank you to all of my patrons on Patreon for supporting the show. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me all these years. If you guys want to help support the show, you can always consider becoming a channel member as well. And as always, I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope to see you guys next time, and have a great night, everybody.